Hello, everyone. Welcome back to First Listen Media. Today, I am with two members of the band Sojourner. What is up, guys?
Hey man, how's it going?
Nothing much.
It's good to see you.
Nothing much.
Thank you
Thanks for
guys.
having us.
Thank you guys
Yeah,
so much for
thanks,
being here.
man.
I'm super pumped for this.
Yeah, we've been really looking forward to it. We haven't done an interview in ages. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's been a while. It's been some months now.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's good.
let's get started. Where did the band begin?
Well, Mike and I had a friend in common, and he gave me a link to Mike's Doom band at the time, Lysithia, and I checked it out. And of course, I was on a huge Doom kick back then, and well, always have been, but particularly more so then. And then, anyways, I liked it, and I decided to just reach out and say, hey, like your stuff, I dig it. And then we just started talking. He checked out my stuff because I was also in the Doom band at the time, and then yeah, so we just started talking, and then eventually just kind of decided hey, how about we do something together? And that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, it was a very different band in the early days. It was, it was pretty much Doom initially. The original demos were it didn't resemble the band now at all. It wasn't until we just decided, yeah, one day we were just like, nah, screw this. We scrapped those demos, and then I just sat down and wrote Heritage, and we were just kind of yeah, this is it. This is Sojourner.
How did the band name come to life?
One day I was just I was writing down a bunch of different names, and most of them, of course, sucked, because one of the hardest things to do is name a band, especially one that doesn't have a name that another band has or that resembles the name another band has. And then I was just just brainstorming and giving them lists of names, and we couldn't decide on anything. Then one day, just out of nowhere, the name or the word Sojourner just popped into my head. And because of course, we're quite fantasy based, of course, at least back then a bit more so than now, but we were very fantasy based. We all, of course, like fantasy and video games and all that. And then of course, just nature itself, since that's a huge part of our lyrical themes as well. It was kind of well, I mean, that the definition of that word fits us so well. And not to mention, we're an international band, so we were already everywhere and stuff. So it just kind of fit. And then I just brought it up to them, and and then they're like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Well, speaking of the nature and everything, how would you describe your band's sound? Because it is unique from everything I've ever heard.
Oh man, how do we? It's kind of like a weird mix of, I guess we started more atmospheric black metal than we are now. Although we've kind of gone back to that, I'd say it's like a weird mix of atmospheric black metal, melodic death, folk metal. We kind of just go by atmospheric metal because it's just all encompassing. But yeah, it's a mashup of a whole bunch of different stuff.
And that's what makes it so great.
Yeah, we never wanted to be like that band that was just caged in, or couldn't break out of this and that. So it's by just being atmospheric metal, we can include whatever we want to include, whether it's just ambient style epics, keys and synths or whatever, then black metal, melodic death, doom, just whatever. So it just makes it easier for us to just be ourselves rather than try to be in this box.
Yeah, and that's definitely noticeable with all of your stuff, because everything is just diverse, unique. It sounds so incredible to me personally as a fan. And what I love a lot is especially the artwork for the albums. That really drew me in. Because I showed a friend all the album covers you guys have, and he goes, "There's no way this is metal." I'm like, "Give it a listen," and he just fell in love with it. And I'm like, you do realize a lot of people who do this get really articulated with their covers. And I want to know, where does your album art come from?
With Heritage, we just did the sort of typical thing where you take an old piece of artwork from the 1800s, which is out of copyright, and whacked a logo and stuff on it. And then when we went to the album, we decided we wanted to get one made, in that style, still in that sort of classical, romantic castle style, but we wanted to actually make it our own and not just use another one we found lying around, which is the easy way out, because those artworks are amazing, right? There's Albert Bear stuff and stuff. But yeah, so I was working at a games company at the time, and one of the artists kind of did this watercolor style, beautiful thing for the RPG we were working on. And I just hit him up and said, "Do you want to do an album cover?" And he goes, "Sweet." And yeah, he just whipped it up. I think it was the first iteration of it he showed us was almost the finished cover, and we were just like, sweet, that's perfect. The structure on the front, the only thing we did, I showed him a picture of St Andrew's Castle. At the time I was living in St Andrews, Scotland, and it was just around the corner. So it's kind of like if you took St Andrew's Castle and whacked it in the middle of the Highlands and then added a bit of that sort of 1800s German romanticism to it. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it because I'm all about that kind of thing. Like I'm a huge fan of like Middle Ages, old school castles and stuff like that. So when I saw this, that's a big part of what got me into your band, because the artwork itself was like, this is fucking amazing. I can't wait to see how the music sounds. And I just loved it from start to finish.
Oh, thanks.
Well, speaking of the songs, what is the songwriting process for you guys, instrumentally and lyrically?
We usually start instrumentally. So I'll sit down and sort of come up with a basis of an idea, and I'll send it through to Emilio, and he'll sort of get a feel for it. And then I'll typically just kind of work away at it until the song's done, and then usually send it to Ricardo. He'll look at the drums, they're mostly written, and he'll make a few tweaks. Our bassist, our ex-bassist, Mike Wilson, who's left the band since, he used to work his bass onto it. I did the bass on Perennial, but Scotty, who's been with us since 2018 live, he'll be on the album doing the bass next time. But yeah, just sort of hammer away, and then Emilio he comes at it with the themes of the lyrics, and that kind of helps solidify it at the end, and then I'll make tweaks and stuff based on his ideas.
Nice.
Yeah, I usually I mean, there are times where I already have the lyrics written beforehand, and then I just like adapt them to the music. But most of the time I prefer to wait for the music to be done, just because, well, I mean, obviously it's been years now and stuff, and I like the way Mike writes music and stuff. And just every time I get a song from him, I just automatically feel inspired to write something, because many times inspiration is hard to come by, at least in my head. So it's like sometimes it just doesn't come by. But then I hear, the new fucking banger he's writing, I'm just like, okay, cool. Now we can put pen to paper and get something out.
Thanks, man. There's one example though where we did it backwards. Fatal Frame. If you wanna go into that.
Well, halfway actually, because it was 50-50, because with Fatal Frame, I had been trying to write that song for so many years, and I failed miserably each time. I just wasn't, happy with the lyrics and the wording, nothing. And Mike and he was here visiting, and we decided to try to give it a go. He's the one who pushed me. He's like, let's try, because we were actually playing the game. So he's like, dude, we gotta fucking do this. And I was like, all right. So let's try. So I had like an idea of the first verse, and then at the same time, when he went back home, he was writing like the first half of the song, I think it was, up until like maybe the 3.5 minute mark. And then he sent me that. And once I got those first 3.5 minutes, the rest of the song was written in like 20 minutes lyrically. It was just like, I heard like those riffs and that, the evilness behind it, but also the sadness. And I was just like, there it is. So it's like 10 years in the making, but it took like 20 minutes to write the song in the end. So it was actually 50-50. The music made the rest happen.
That's awesome. Hey, sometimes it just comes to you like that,
Yeah, exactly.
The song I want to know about lyrically, which is also one of my personal favorites, is Relics of the Natural Realm.
Yeah, so I mean, Relics is kind of well, not kind of, it's literally a part 2 to Heritage of the Natural Realm in a way, like instrumentally, but also lyrically, because with, of course, the new members coming in and having this stopgap between, let's say, Sojourner of old and then, present, and then what we're going to into the future, we kind of wanted to bring back some of those elements from Empires of Ash, but of course not losing what we had in Shadowed Road and Premonitions and what we feel we're going to have going forward. So it just kind of made sense, since Heritage of the Natural Realm was our very first song, that Relics, being the final song on the EP, was that like stopgap between these like 2 eras of Sojourner, so to speak. And part of the lyrics actually of Relics was, I think the final verse of Heritage is like the first piece of lyrical content on Relics. So I kind of borrowed that, but then I created its own. I created its own lyrics, but it's essentially a part two, just to sum it up. Just signifying that stopgap between the two eras of the band.
Wow, that's an incredible answer.
Oh, and of course, like the theme itself is obviously nature, Mother Earth. Like I totally glossed over that part. Yeah, the lyrical theme itself is basically just Mother Nature like renewing herself after us like wiping ourselves out, or just humans no longer existing, just the rejuvenation of the earth itself.
Yeah, that is incredible. Wow. Like, because I'm all about nature, I'm all about that, and hearing that in a song was honestly one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Of course. What was it like getting signed on to Napalm?
It was really good. I
Um,
mean, we've been
yeah.
big Napalm fans for a long time. We've got so many of our favorite bands are on there, so it was pretty great. I mean, we also love Roberto and everything he did for us from Avant-Garde as well. Like, he just top guy, and Andrea, the other guy that works with him, just fantastic and massively supported us. It just made sense at the time, right, to move, but it was nothing against Avant-Garde because they are such a supportive, great label. But we love Napalm, and just the catalog, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Mike said, to mirror that sentiment, we had zero plans to leave Avantgarde because we were so happy with them, and we still have a fantastic relationship with them to this day, with Roberto and Andrea and stuff. But yeah, it just made sense at the time, just to take that step up the ladder. But then as well, especially me personally, I think since 2006, I had been a massive fan of Napalm. Like most of the bands that I listened to, like from 2006 to like 2015, were like that Napalm variety type of doom and like black metal and stuff. And they just were like that label that I would follow to check out new bands and stuff. And then of course for them to knock on our door, it was kind of like, we had to hear them out. And in the end, we were able to negotiate something that was a win-win. So yeah.
Nice. 'Cause honestly, I think it's incredible because Napalm, I've been a huge fan of too. Like, I find so many good bands under them. And seeing, like, when I first came across your music, I'm like, this looks pretty good. And I just listened to it. My mind was lost in it, to be completely honest. And I love that. Like,
That's awesome.
when a band can make me get that immersed, it's just something I cherish and love about music. So of course, when I started this up, I'm like, I gotta work with them. I really need to.
Oh, we really appreciate that. That's
Of
so cool to
course.
hear.
Yeah. My next question is, who would you love to collaborate with, whether it be at a live show or in a recording studio?
Oh man, gonna need to think. There's so many people would love to play with. I would love to play with Insomnium. Insomnium would be great. There's so many bands I want to throw out there, but they're just completely inappropriate, and it'd be the weirdest lineup. You'd just be like,
I'll go
okay.
for it. It's fine.
Do it.
I mean, like Unleash the Archers.
Oh,
I absolutely
yes.
love Unleash the Archers, but we would stick out. They'd just be like, what are they doing here? Oh yeah, there are so many bands we'd love to play with, but yeah, Insomnium would be up there for me. I think that would be a pretty good fit. We're not like them, but I think Insomnium, Bellacore, bands like that, we kind of fit in with enough, I think.
Yeah, I'll mirror what Mike said and say definitely Unleash the Archers for live. I would love to play with them. Also, I think nowadays as well, tours are becoming more and more common where bands aren't all power metal or all death metal. It's just like, bands from different genres going out on tour together. I think it's becoming way more common. And we did that ourselves with Draconian Harakiri. But in the recording studio, for example, I would definitely one day love to work with Jonas Rensk of Catatonia, for sure. I would love to work with that dude. And then of course, if Brittany Slays of Unleash the Archers, like I'd love to have her on the track. Like I could just imagine the wailing and the epicness that she would bring. So for a recording studio, for me, those would be the two.
Nice.
I'm with you. Yeah, Jonas from Catatonia would be like dream guest.
Yeah, dude.
Dream guest.
You mentioned a tour a few moments ago. What was that like for you guys?
It was awesome. I mean, from when we like got the initial email to then like sealing the deal and all that stuff, and then actually, getting on the bus and then being on tour with those two bands, it was a fucking phenomenal experience. It was literally like just 16 days of living the dream, of just being out and playing shows night after night and being on the bus with people that you get along with, and everybody's just becomes like this close knit family, So it was awesome.
The best thing about it was just to jump in quickly, we were the opener, but almost every night of that tour we had a packed house, and it was full almost every night for us. And for an opening band, that's like, you can only dream of that. So it was a super cool tour for us in that respect.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't that typical situation of like everybody's just coming, after the first band has gone off or whatever, coming late to the door. It was just, yeah, everybody who was going to be at that show was 95% all were there from the get-go. And that was, yeah.
So cool. That was such a good experience.
Dude, that's incredible. One of these days, I need to go to one of your shows. I'll have to fly there. I don't care. I'll do it.
Yeah, well, if you do, man, hit us up.
I will most definitely do that. Because honestly, like, those kind of shows are the best ones to go to. And you meet some of the coolest bands. Like, I went to a show earlier in November, and I saw a band who I worked with on my show before, because I work with their label a lot. And I met like 3 other bands there who I've got to work with ever since I went to that show. So it's like going to shows helps me get more from my roster, and I get to see awesome bands perform.
Yeah, precisely.
My next question is, what is the best piece of advice you could give to fellow musicians and your listeners?
I would say,
terms of okay, no, yeah, you go ahead, Mike.
I would say if you're talking about like starting up a new band and writing stuff, just write whatever you want. Like we kind of started like we said earlier, we were trying to become a doom band, and then once we scrapped that, we just started writing. We weren't trying to really be like anything in particular, and I think you just need to write. And sometimes you kind of feel like, even when you're midway through the album and coming up with a song, you kind of feel like, shit, people are going to hate this. Like, this song doesn't fit. People aren't going to like it. You just kind of need to do what you like, because chances are there's going to be a shitload of people out there that end up loving it. And people will hate it too, but like, I just think don't be disingenuous with what you do.
Yeah, and then just keep going. Like, as long as you believe in what you're doing, the rest will come. Like, it's really shitty when there's people that have this mentality of, oh, I want to do this because I want to live off of it, or I want to be a rock star, or I want to do this and this and that. And they forget about the main thing that, could bring all that. And that's the music. That people forget about the music, and they just try to go for all the extra shit and just want to be known or whatever. And then those are actually the people that in the end will fail. So it's just be passionate about what you're doing and keep your eye on the ball. Don't stray from the actual musical path for whatever other bullshit that might not even come, because there's no Metallicas these days anymore. So people can get that out of their mind already. You do this because you love it.
Exactly. That's kind of why I do this, because I love it. I love working with people, and especially in like the metal area, because I started this up because metal saved my life and I wanted to give back. And actually, a few days ago marked 1 year since I started this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks. But yeah, like,
one milestone out of many.
Exactly. I consider this a milestone right here, because like I said, I've been a huge fan of you guys. So this conversation right now is a milestone for me.
That really means a lot. Seriously. That's really cool to hear.
Like, metal to me is not only something I love to listen to, but it's more of a therapy session, and escape. And honestly, your albums have been one of the biggest for me, because it has everything that helps me calm down, like the calm parts in the beginning, like with Realms, and then it goes straight to the heavy, and that's what I love the most.
That means a lot to hear that.
Yeah, that really does, because of course, first and foremost, we make music for ourselves, but obviously we're putting it out there because we want other people to hear it and hopefully, resonate with what we're trying to, to put out there in terms of whether it's just, the musicality itself or the lyrics and everything. But it's always really nice to hear that people resonate with the music on such a level. So really, we appreciate that, dude.
Thank you. And I love hearing that too. Like I love being able to hear the feedback from the people I have on here and the stories and just everything. And it's just so much fun for me.
Yeah, well, we're so glad you do this. I mean, if you weren't doing this, we, wouldn't get to talk to you. And it's just, yeah. And you saying that, honestly, we really appreciate that, because sometimes, especially with COVID and shows getting cancelled and all of our progress kind of grinding to a halt, everyone's has, it's easy to kind of lose sight of the fact that, people do appreciate and listen to it. And, I mean, it's been a weird couple of years for everyone, right? In the world.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's been insane.
And it's easy to feel burned out by that. When you hear someone like you say that, kind of makes you feel like, shit, yeah, we need to make more of this. So we do appreciate it.
I'm glad I'm able to help. My next question is, what is next for Sojourner?
Mike.
New album, of course. I mean, it's been a while. I think we needed, COVID's been a weird time. Things ground to a halt with shows, like we were saying. We just needed like that little reset, and I think Perennial was a really nice time to sort of go back to that first Empire sound, so that we can go forward, sort of with the classic style. I think the next album will add some new stuff. I mean, obviously Tom's in the band now. He's going to add some new stuff. Lucy's vocals are going to be quite a big feature. So yeah, I think it'll be more of the old style, but entirely new. Every band says that. I'm trying to find something to say. It doesn't sound like the thing every band says, where it's like, yeah, expect big things. It's hopefully gonna be good, and if it's shit, I'm sorry. Basically.
Well, I know it's gonna be good. It's gonna be
a time frame for when it'll come out, we really don't know. Up until now, we've stuck to like every 2 year, almost like right on the dot, or even a little bit before. Because I think from Empire's Shadowed Road, it was less than 2 years. It was like a year and 10 months or something like that. But we don't know if we're going to stick to that time frame this time, because obviously COVID, we obviously have jobs, our personal lives, all that kind of stuff. So we'll have to see when it gets released, but we are actively working all the time. And then, of course, we are looking into touring and all that. So we have some stuff in the pipeline. Of course, nothing's sealed yet, but we are looking into being back out on the road this year, actually. So we'll see if it actually happens or not. And then in terms of North America, we'll see. I don't know. It's a bit tough to tour over there, man. It's really fucking expensive. I think it's easier for North American bands to tour Europe than it is, the other way around.
Oh, it is. It is. Bands here have said that.
Yeah, we'd love to though. So if you know any promoters,
I can look, because I do work with labels and I do know some small venues, so I can try to hit them up.
Yeah.
The thing is, what people need to understand as well is like, because a lot of times you see it, especially once you're like, you've been in a band or you start actually dealing with going out and touring and stuff, you'll see like a band post a tour flyer, and then you'll see a bunch of comments. Oh, you missed my city. Fuck you guys, and all this kind of shit. And it's like, dude, it's all about demand. If there's enough demand from the people that live in that city, then promoters will, of course, keep their ear to the ground and bring the band over. Otherwise, so basically, wherever a band plays, it's up to the people that live in that city. Yeah. Exactly. It's up to the fans.
Yep, even I get that, and I missed a lot of shows because of that, but I also understand why, so I'm not like all butthurt about it.
Yeah Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Exactly. And sometimes you got to make the journey to haul ass to where they are playing, which I have done before, because like it meant that much to me.
Yeah, especially in the States. I mean, sometimes I've heard of like, oh yeah, I'm driving 3 hours to, I don't know, fucking Boise, Idaho or something like that. And it's like, it's like people actually take these, because here in Europe, of course, you drive 3 hours, you're in a new country. But so it's kind of easier to go from place to place here. But yeah, you guys definitely have to go out of your way sometimes.
Especially where I'm at, because I'm in a really small state near like the edge, and it's just finding where the shows are and getting there is a hassle. But it's so worth it too.
Exactly.
All right. My final question is, do you have any questions for me?
What would you want to see on the next Sojourner album? That's my first question.
Damn. Honestly, the style you guys have now and everything I've already heard is just, I love where it's going already. And I just want to see more of what you guys had in mind. Because honestly, since I heard the first album up to now, I've loved every song.
Awesome. Okay, one more question from my side. Then I'll let Emilio have it. What's your favorite song from every album?
Damn it, you stole mine.
Sorry.
Well, okay, from the perennial, I'm going to go from newest to oldest. From the perennial EP, it's going to be Relics of the Natural Realm. I absolutely fell in love with that one. Awesome. From Premonitions, I'm going to have to go with Fatal Frame, because that one was really well done. I mean, they're all well done. It's just that one stood out to me a lot. From The Shadowed Road is such a hard one because that whole album got me going. So I can't choose just one, but if I have to, it would be Winter's Slumber and An Oath Sworn in Sorrow.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Yes.
And from Empires of Ash, I would have to choose Heritage of the Natural Realm.
Nice.
Really, that's a good list.
Stoked.
That's a good list.
Yeah, me and Emilio, I know Emilio will be too stoked to hear Oath and Fatal Frame on there, because they're not like the typical favorites, but between us two, it's I think they're two sort of favorites that we just are quite proud of. So
yeah, those cool. Fatal Frame and Oath are actually my two favorite Sojourner songs for sure, like easily. I don't even have to think about that. But yeah, thanks for the list, man. That was awesome. I do have one question for you that I just thought of. Favorite horror game of all time?
Oh God. That is hard because I don't really play much horror. Like I do sometimes, but it's not really something I go to. I'm more of like I'm on Destiny a lot. Like I'm more of like the story driven games. But if I have to say horror, fuck.
You can go horror.
You can either do horror, or I'll even go to like RPG, JRPG, something like that.
Well, Destiny is an RPG I've been playing since 2014 when it first dropped, but if I have to choose anything different, I'd have to go with like Skyrim.
Nice. Okay. Skyrim, of course, is a classic choice. I mean, we all love Skyrim in this band, all of us.
Tom's in a Skyrim themed.
Exactly. So he's a huge Skyrim dude. Yeah, I think everybody's put a couple 100 hours at least into it.
Oh God, every release, which is like 5 at this point.
yeah. Fucking hell, it's crazy.
I haven't been able to tackle all of them, but I've been trying to. I haven't had much time, but we'll see what happens. Any other questions for me? Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
I was going to say, hopefully we have Elder Scrolls 6 soon. So soon be in the next 10 years, probably.
Yeah, and you'll probably have to buy an Xbox.
Yeah, because I got a PS4 here, so the only time I played those ones was hang out with my friend because he actually has the Xbox.
Yeah.
Nice.
Any other questions for me?
No, I can't think of any.
All right. This has been an absolute blast for me, and I'm so glad I was able to reach out, because it's like, for me, I wanted to get some more experience doing this before I reached out to you guys. Because, like I said, even though I've been a huge fan, I know I needed to start somewhere. Because, mind you, I had no experience getting into this. I just went for it because I wanted to give back to music. And it's like, you know what? I think I had enough experience now. I think I can reach out to these guys.
Oh, thank you, man. We loved it.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that. But I think, the best thing is, like, I enjoyed this interview because it was more of just sitting down and chit-chatting, rather than like the typical questions that you get, like what year were you founded, and then after that it's kind of like just basically the cookie cutter questions, what was the process like in the studio, like, but nothing about like sitting down like people and just chatting about games or whatever like we did now. So I think you could have reached out to us as your first fucking as your first banner, we would have said yes, dude.
Yeah, I like to make these fun. I love to make these fun. Like, I'm not professional by any means. I like to make these more of just sitting down, chatting with a friend, and making it fun for everybody. That's kind of my goal with these.
Those are the best ones. Those are always the most fun. Bands, I mean, I assume we speak for all bands. Those are the ones that you enjoy doing. Like, so keep it up. Just keep doing this.
Thank you.
You're doing awesome.
Yeah.
This has been a blast, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. This has been First Listen Media, and today our guests were 2 members from Sojourner. You guys have a absolutely fantastic day.
Thank you so much. You too, dude.
Yes, man. See ya.